So over the span of 18 months, you've had one person, Jessie Pridemore, accuse 3 separate people of assault. You have the newest one here is with DeFreest. You also have Haberkorn and Mignogna. We're going to talk about all of that today. So hey there. Now today, before beginning, this is our second comic, another case for the Littlest Umbrella. Link is in the description. We have 14 days and change left on our extension. The reason that things like this are important too is because more and more people like this have taken over our escapism. We can either walk away from it or we can support something new. That's what we're trying to offer. More on that at the end of the video, and thank you for checking that out. So Jessie Pridemore, if this is a name that escapes you, well, I can't blame you for that. I wouldn't know about this person at all, except for 18 months ago, they came out with their first accusations. Now, this first accusation, it involves 2 people, 2 separate incidents, and it comes at the height of the Mignogna incident. If you don't know anything about that, you have a voice actor having his life and livelihood destroyed, and Jessie Pridemore not only threw him into a story, but she threw in another voice actor as well. That's what we're looking at in front of you here. She basically says, this guy, I had drinks with him, I woke up around him, I didn't know what was going on, told Mignogna about it, and well, that guy took advantage of me as well. The only problem with that accusation was that Haberkorn actually answered, and when he answered, he not only told you a narrative, but he provided screenshots of conversations as well. These conversations were very telling too, because they seemed to imply that she wanted a relationship. She was rebuffed after a little while, and well, again, you can make your inference from there. Now, when it comes to present versus prior, it's fascinating how much one of these accusations mirrors the other. We're going to go in depth with this accusation too, but I want to read you something on this. So the first night, after a day on the floor, I was dumped via text. I was very upset. We all went to dinner, and Shane said I should keep drinking to forget him. So you have an X being utilized as an in. You have the same thing noted in this against Haberkorn. A voice actor that I really admired and thought was cute was flirting with me, used my divorce as an in. You have that. You have drinking. I mean, again, you have the mirror of this accusation coming up. It's alarming how easy it is to cancel somebody. When I'm talking about this, too, I believe fervently in due process. I hate the landscape that we're seeing now with dozens of people having their jobs and livelihoods canceled. That's why I say that industry, it has to change. Now, looking at this, we're talking about Shane DeFreest. We're going to refer to him as SD. And SD, he has taken quite a few lumps for this stuff. He actually has petitions out there to remove him from Vampire the Masquerade. And the companies that he once worked for, yeah, they have been dumping him, and they have been dumping him quickly. Now with this is the story that Jessie Pridemore throws out there. She says it's my own ARP story from the gaming community, Shane DeFreest, again, or SD. This is very difficult to write. A female friend of mine once told me every woman gets one. She wasn't wrong. Coming out against abusers is really hard. Coming out against multiple abusers is even harder. Those who follow me and know what I've done in the past year and a half know how hard it's been. Having my hand forced by an abuser in the anime world who outed himself meant he was my one. But not today. I will stand with the sisters and so on this day, as many of them have come forward about their experiences in the gaming community. Lucky for me, my abuser was ostracized already, but only because it was a repeated pattern and people had finally had enough. Now, he has been accused that I know of 3 people, just a note, including this person here. So I was by SD, but it was more than that. It was calculated. A truly evil what he did. He planned every step, every moment. He knew what he had wanted, and he'd gone to great lengths to get it. So this talks about hiring process it on. Getting hired by Obsidian Entertainment, going to conventions, how that works out. And this is the planning portion we're going to pick up with. I was originally to be rooming with the other model who I'd known for years and I liked a lot. The layout of the rooms were as follows. 2-bedroom where the devs would be, a giant shared area, Shane's room, and 2 bedrooms that were supposed to be mine, and the other models, they were all connected. When we arrived at the hotel, I was made aware that I was no longer rooming with the other models and was to be in the huge bedroom that was isolated by myself. off. I said I didn't want the devs to get an additional room. There was more than enough space, but Shane insisted. Now, the first night, again, we had the dumping portion, drinking. I made sure to eat so I wouldn't get drunk. Then we went to a party, ended up being boring, so we went to a drag show. The other model decided she was done for the night, went back to the hotel. At the drag show, Shane kept buying me drinks. Feeling obligated, I took them and enjoyed the show. I don't remember how we got back to the hotel. I don't know why Shane had followed me into my room. I immediately went to the bathroom to vomit and crashed on the bed. The next thing I remember is him on to off me and me crying because I was in so much pain. It's the only reason he stopped. At this point, my endometriosis had progressed a lot, and unless you're 100% into it, it's incredibly painful. Now, from there, she talks about a lot of things we're going to skip over for brevity's sake. She talks about waking up the next morning, Shane trying to smooth things over, everything sinking in about what transpired, and her telling another model. At the end of the show, them taking a group photo, her looking miserable, him insisting that he'd be next to her in the photo, and her showing no emotion. I was already contracted for PAX and needed money, talking about another convention. I made sure multiple times that it was me and the other model this time. Shane felt that I should have a sexier costume, but didn't tell me until I got to the show. He told me that I had to meet him at a fetish store downtown. I got lost, ended up walking 5 miles to get there. I was exhausted and in a ton of pain and picked up the least ridiculous bodice I could find and spent the night making a costume. That night at dinner, I couldn't sit up straight because of how much pain I was in. I have chronic pain and was very cranky. Plus, having to spend any time with Shane was awful. Working the con got my mind off of it. Talks about this, her actually spending time with one of her teammates. She would spend the night with them. They ended up dating for a couple of years. Then the second night of the con, Shane showed up in my room. I was sharing with the other model and was waiting for me. She was covering for me, saying I was still at a party, but I'm pretty sure Shane suspected that I was with the other teammate. He stayed for an hour waiting for me until the model finally told him to leave because she needed to sleep. The third day, Shane told me I was no longer allowed to take lunch with the other model and said I was to take lunch with him. My heart sank. As we were sitting in the booth waiting to order, he comes out with, "People on the team think you're being a bee," which wasn't true. Everyone reported they loved working with me. I told him if I was doing a bad job, he should send me home. He immediately changed his tune and said, "No, you're doing a great job. Everyone loves interacting with you." And I said then, "I don't know what the problem is." He starts droning on, and I can't just take it anymore. And in the middle of this busy restaurant, I scream, "You umped me." He went really quiet, started to claim he couldn't possibly, since he hates arpists, blah, blah. Then he changes his tune again, starts blaming me, said I wanted it. I was like before or after my head was in the toilet, explained about endometriosis and S to the E to the X. He then acts like everything is fine. I didn't even eat. We went back to the table, and I'm trying to work, and he keeps coming up and trying to talk to me. Eventually he asks, "Are you sure you don't remember anything?" I told him I explained everything I remember. He then says, no joke, "Oh, I just never had a woman not remember me going down on them before." I was mortified. Then they talk about him, being a predator, a liability, a con man, him getting fired, not for that reason, but him also being ostracized from the communities there and on because he's a predator, and so on. Now, he actually put out a statement on this stuff, too. And his statement on this, it goes as follows. "I made this statement to address defamatory accusations levied against me on the internet. It seems that a group of 3 women are attempting to label me an arpist and a sexual predator to the public without any evidence or due process. I want to be absolutely clear that these allegations are not true, and that it is obvious to anyone who bothers to examine the facts. Here are the facts. I only met, talking about the other 2, once each time. I met one of them at a social function in Las Vegas in 2006. Many years later, we would become business rivals, but my brief original public interaction with her was not hostile, sexual, or criminal in any way. The other person I met at a convention in New Orleans in 2009. We had a public disagreement that there were witnesses by many people. The argument did not devolve into sexual conduct in any way. I have not spoken to to or interacted directly with them since. Apparently, they hold grudges over a brief interaction and decided to defame me publicly as a predator. I have never had any private or intimate interactions with either of them, and neither can provide any evidence that I acted improperly towards them or anyone else. Now, then it goes through them, and then it talks about Jessie Pridemore, and then promoting that post to justify their long-standing personal vendetta. Pridemore and I had a one-night stand in 2014. It was completely consensual. The experience wasn't positive for either of us, so we went our separate ways and never got together again. By her own account, she was in a bad state of mind, but there was no suggestion that anything improper happened. Recently, she decided to post online that I had her. I did not know why she suddenly decided to do this 6 years after our one-night stand, but it's clear to me from their social media activity that she decided to do this along with the other two. We should all take accusations of this type seriously, but there are right and wrong ways to deal with this. None of these people have filed police complaints or presented cooperating evidence of any of their claims. I would welcome a police investigation so I can clear my name. There were many people present during my interactions with all of these people, and they are eager to cooperate on what actually happened. Merely posting online someone is any of these things without any proof or due process is irresponsible and defamatory. The result is damaging to my career, name, and business because many weak-minded people won't bother to examine the facts. While I would like to nothing more than to answer all your questions, this has become a serious legal matter. On the advice of my attorneys, all my future statements about this will come through my lawyers, and this is the kind of statement that you expect on this. Now, interestingly enough, Jessie Pridemore was afraid of being sued for those last statements. This is actually a GoFundMe that one of her friends put up in February 27, 2019, talking about her coming out, talking about her discussing this stuff, and with general persuading and discussing, she agreed to let some friends make this for her. The initial intent for the money is to protect her if she's targeted by a lawsuit. The secondary intention for this money is to help her find an apartment so she can take care of herself without constant threat of eviction. So here, this is a fourth accusation against somebody else, being a monster, by the way. But it's fascinating to see this stuff playing out, and more people are having this levied against them. Again, I could go out, I could make a video on something like this every day, but I don't even know where to start. But I thought I would show you this. Again, due process all the time. I'm not taking any side on this, but I do find it horrific that people have their lives and livelihood ruined simply because people can post something online and destroy them. But anyway, you tell me what you think about this. Maybe you know more about it than I do. But anyway, like I said, I'm curious what you think. So to close, this is our second comic, another case for the littlest umbrella. Link is in the description. Hopefully you'll check that out. See, it's amazing to me. People like myself, we can't get any media coverage. We get basically attacked by professionals in industry because we call for due process, and it's time for something to change. People will either walk away or they'll walk towards something new. Hopefully you'll walk toward this. And again, thank you for checking that out. Also, I want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for making these endeavors possible. Not enough people say that. I truly do appreciate you here, and hopefully you'll check out the next video. Thank you.